small business now because the oil change.
And renting.
And that's exactly, if we're moving ahead with this retail, you know what's gonna happen for the small business. And I just want everyone to set aside your, and do what's fair, think of what, but yes, the youth are our future. So definitely, we can see something like that, and I know that's very dangerous, there's a lot of these parks, but we have to figure out how we can do it and set it in a timetable, but that's definitely needed.
And I think speaking how I've interpreted the board is that I don't know of anybody that's not against parks, and it's just a matter of having the board and the council be able to understand and say, we've got so much money, and we got this project and this project and this project, and so we can commit, but overall, the community, whether we bring in retail or we build, or bring our parks up to where they should be, all of that is a city that people want to come to, and if we let one fall, we're gonna hurt in another place, because young families won't want to come here. I mean, they look around at the parks and they say, forget it. But we've got to have that blended approach and blended attitude, and I think the board is open-minded about that. I could be wrong, but I think that's, I think we're here to want to sit down and let's make this right within the income that we have.
Well, I would just, I would say from this point on, we probably need to, unless everybody else needs to add something.
Jane,
I've already added
you know what I'm
something.
saying?
Yeah.
Then we got you.
When I read this, it sounds to me like that y'all's expectation is that the FEDC put together a short-term, long-term plan for parks. Is that the expectation?
Yes.
That's what it says.
Yes, that is the expectation to help us formulate a plan and then come up with, and to help how we want to pay for the plan. The plan is great, but we don't want it to be on the shelf.
I understand. A plan would include how you're going to implement it. But the expectation is, on y'all's part, that we do the planning for this effort, not the city.
Because our city doesn't have a plan right now, not that I'm aware of. Do you have one?
Why not?
Because since I've been here, my function has been to take care of some of the basic infrastructure that you talked about. The water, the sewer, my streets, maintenance, those are some of the key things, as well as a turnaround plan that.
So a plan would also address maintenance.
Yes.
And from my perspective, when I go out there and look at the facilities, it's not being maintained today. My expectation is that's a city function.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
It would be like maintaining the pecan park.
Huh?
It would be like us maintaining the pecan park.
Right, right. And the restrooms out there at River Park should be bulldozed. That's an embarrassment to me.
Yes, and so no matter how much you wipe and clean it, it's still gonna be ugly.
Yeah, but just the
Because
construction.
that itself, I mean, you're talking about bathrooms are.
10 years old.
Are
There's no difference on
15
this
years old.
tile
So
under it.
I can keep mopping the same bathroom, they still gonna be ugly. And then it gets to a
So
point. is it-
we don't have anybody on this board, including Tommy, that's qualified to develop a plan. So
I think
you're
that's,
expect-
to me, that's the elephant in the room.
So
Is that
your
the city can't
expectation
afford it,
then-
so I think we're supposed to.
I'm just trying to get to the bottom line. Your expectation then is that we hire somebody that somehow or other come up with an incremental plan over time to address parks.
Yes, now when I looked at the city
Right,
historically.
wrong, this is
Right, when I looked
simple
at the city
statement.
historically, looked at the plan, I gave it to county. M&S did a plan, I believe it was in 2012.
Did a plan for parks?
No, they addressed, they listed all of the city parks. They did a whole 5-year master plan. in the master
For
plan.
the city.
For the city of Floresville.
Including all the infrastructure required.
Infrastructure and
Yeah.
everything. So we've been focusing, and they have given direction to the city manager to focus on water, sewer, streets. That's all.
That'll be your primary job, yeah.
Is this the same plan when you were mayor? Is that the same one? that-
Yeah, there has been no other plan since 2006.
And so I gave Tommy a copy of the pages, it's in there, it's on our website, that's definitely spoke about what parts we have, what the needs are, and what the issues are. That just talks about, it's identify what we have. It doesn't talk about how we can improve them, or what we should do first, or even they tried to prioritize them, but their priority for an engineer may not be our priority.
Well, even if they came up with a plan, then there's gonna be the issue of how is it gonna be paid for?
That's always the issue, how we pay.
Yeah.
Coming
Well,
up with
and
plans
it's-
not,
it's just the
it's not gonna be a
maintenance too, of
problem.
course, you know.
Anybody can come up with a plan.
That's the easy part.
Now, funding is a different issue, and I don't think we're in the funding business.
Well, they can give me any direction on reference to funding.
Well-
Apply for grants.
So we'll come up with a great plan that's gonna cost y'all to raise taxes just 20 cents.
Us.
And I don't wanna hear anybody complain about that.
So,
All right, well,
this cooperative effort would be among board members and you? Is that what you're talking, or is it going to include some council members, or who's gonna sit at the table with us? Because
I
like
think we
Jay
should also
said,
include-
well, none of y'all are planners either.
No, but I think that you should involve maybe some of the people that are like the coaches, or like the
What,
league
what call the
president.
different like Little League Wildcats, the soccer leagues, Wilson
Like
County,
the leaders.
all the ones that use it, because
But if you're talking about an assessment of needs, that's already been done too.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about how many fields we need for football, baseball, soccer, that's been done. And all it takes is a visual inspection of the current fields, where you see 4 or 5 temporary plastic fences set up currently right now.
We need a design
I think-
and something to grow on, we don't.
And there's designs,
Yeah,
and
we
there's
don't-
infrastructure plans.
Exactly.
I think the next step, of course, in my mind would be that simply we've got to have Tommy to get with you to see exactly, at this point, let's gather all the data that's been done thus far, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel somewhere along the line, you know, and you've already have some of that stuff, and that would probably be the next step, to really just get a feel for, oh, well, we didn't know you had this already, oh. And then, you know, for example, you go to the TML places, you know, you've been at conferences where you have seen different planners, because that's where they market their wares. You could help us identify some of those, and probably then maybe even request for proposals or something, and just see where that goes at that point. But Heartland, I know, has done some group, and I think the Parks Foundation has even been in contact with them.
Yes, they have, and they met with them, and so some grants. So I can get with Tommy, if I'm understanding, Tommy, I work together a lot, you know Tommy. And that we'll put together what we have already, what I have, and the information, and then bring it back to the board, and then we can see, even to see if some people can present to you, I remember to some of the park plans of how to best approach this.
Yeah, I would just get it back to Tommy, you know, so then he can kind of put that all together and then get us a presentation.
And I would hope the board would back me as well as the city, but, and that is, we've seen a lot of kind of homegrown things done here, and we've seen professional things. We need professional opinions about the status of the parks and what's needed and what's not, and the safety element. As Jay said, I'm not a parks planner. We need to get a good, somebody we can rely on to tell us exactly what we need and make it up to date, not 2012, but 2015. And then we have something we can go for and say, let's prioritize those. You know, what do we as two groups working together say, what's number 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get bids to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's a decision about how much we can do.
I'm one of those pay-as-you-go. You know, I don't like creating a lot of debt, so if we can pay as we go, I think that's something we need to think about. Because we
Break
don't know
it to
what these
phases.
taxes are gonna do.
bring the bases on what you need.
Oh, yeah.
Like you don't have a track, you can't even do like a track tournament here or anything like that. You can't start a track club, you know, anything like that, just for.
But it
kids.
sounds like number 1 would be these sinkholes and how do we deal with that?
Or is it anything you can even fix?
Yeah,
We don't even know if we can fix it. Y'all, we put dirt in them all the time as coaches. And
They've already told us that they're gonna close us down in
yeah.
another 2 years.
You see the fence right there, it goes right to this.
Sarah.
I mean, if somebody falls in one of those, good Lord.
I think we-
Already in Center
I
Field.
think we know what it is.
I think with the board, I think everybody's
This one's pretty concerned.
understands that,
They control.
that we do need, something done with the parks. And I don't think there's anybody that has an adverse opinion that we wanna not help with the parks.
You might need to run them, those people off.
If they're making such a conversation, we'll talk.
Hey,
Yeah. Back to the meeting, Mr. All right. Anyway, back to what I was saying, I don't think there's anybody on the board that's adverse to working with parks. We can turn this around and not make it a bad deal, make it a compliment. If we were asked to come work and do it, we can interpret this that, yeah, we have to come up with a planner and someone that is gonna cost some money. But this doesn't have to be 100% FAD funded project. As the city manager said, she just come up with 10 million for one deal and 3.5 million for another. Elections coming up, money's out there right now. If we have a plan, we can go get money, but you can't get money without a plan. They're gonna laugh in your face.
Sure.
So with the thinking power that we have here, I don't think we have anybody that's sticking an eye from the wall saying, I don't wanna do this, let's just throw this in the trash. That's not the point. I think the board doesn't wanna drown themselves with debt. We got drowned with debt with the industrial park.
Like that was Eagle Ford.
Yeah, and in cash and care, we've come out, we have another 600,000 more or less to probably spend, and that will also finally be behind us. And then we can focus on other things and have monies to do things with. But I think with the brain power that exists on the board, if you consolidate all the different groups that use the parks and the different people on the council and just go look at some of these people that have come into money and some of these different funds and foundations, and that there's money out there, you just gotta kick enough rocks over and you're gonna get $1 here and a dime there and 500 there. But at the end of the day, if you do this in tiers and don't amass a multi-million-dollar debt the first day, a lot of these people that I've been exposed to is if you have a plan and you have a way you're gonna tier this in and how it's gonna take care of it, they're gonna back you up, they're gonna give you some money. They may not give you everything you want, but they're gonna support you. And that just breeds more people that are gonna support you, and it's gonna finally all come together. But I think first and foremost, you have to have a reasonable plan with somebody that's qualified to say, and put a stamp on it and say, this is reasonable. And I think you have full support of the board to move forward and work hard to get this done.
Just come to us next time. I hate resolutions.
Note to self.
And what's the name of the gentleman that's out there with the lineage right now? He's putting in all that money.
The ones you're concerned about not having insurance.
There's a baseball country, they're already having tournaments out there.
Because he came to the city,
Yeah.
and he was gonna develop all at the back of the event center. He was chased away. He was gonna pay for it and everything.
He's doing it in
else.
Pleasanton right now.
He
He
was
worked
gonna
with
put
the-
fields, yes, exactly right. He went to Pleasanton, because different groups here didn't wanna work with him.
And every weekend right
That's
now,
what
they
we
have
have to do is
tournaments and our
work
kids are
together.
benefiting from it. But we're 2 years behind
But
when we
right now,
first.
he's putting in the money,
Yeah.
bringing in dirt and doing all that
Yeah,
stuff.
and he's working with it. He's not just doing for one group. I mean, I can put together, right now, I've been able to put together 8 youth baseball teams and they can play year-round baseball. And, not just for boys, softball, girls, adult leagues. He has a police officer association at San Antonio that plays. So you can start that here with your local police officer
Travel teams
association.
that
But
come
to
into
Danny's
town.
comment, from what I can gather, we gotta look for property to do this on, because that's not a feasible situation out there anymore. I understand it right.
Property, I got,
Huh?
like 100 acres.
The
Next.
back of
The current city park, I think, was condemned when I left office.
Yeah, the San Antonio River Authority is looking at the erosion for the lake that's coming down. And if you've been out there recently, you've seen the pool, the erosion's happening.
And that's not gonna stop.
It's not gonna
You
stop.
can go spend $10 million on a
Yeah.
park and
So
you're
we
still gonna
need-
have sinkholes and the same problem
We
out
need to
there.
relocate those.
Yeah.
And 4A, the city, at the same meeting, the city also passed a lease agreement with the 4A that said that the city's gonna have control over the property on the 100 acres, is that right? The 100 acres.
Where that arena is?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's 100 acres that go back that way. But that would be a perfect location for us to do that.
Because it goes
how many
past-
acres is the existing park?
It's less than 22 acres.
existing park.
Yeah. But with the 100 acres that we have there, I haven't driven the whole 100 acres, but they just keep telling me that fence down there in the back, it goes that far back.
That lake has water.
But that includes the event center area too.
Yes.
The 100 acres.
It's 100 acres. So there's a.
And they're already practicing their Little League, we already have practice there up on those fields behind
Yeah,
there.
we
There's
should level
temporary
it out.
fences, they've allowed,
Yeah.
the Little League, I think they put in like 4 temporary fields up there because there's just no place. They've taken them out of the drainage ditch, which is great because you're all in one location, so.
You know, in addition to that, one thing I'll add, if you don't mind, is that whatever we do, I would agree with you, it's gotta be planned out so that we don't go, uh-oh,
Yeah.
we shouldn't have put that building there. There are tremendous opportunities with covered roping facilities and stock show facilities.
Yeah, a place
and
where
all
you
those
put your
kind of
animals, like
things.
the
So
kids in town that wanna show
there's-
pigs.
There's a possibility of maybe who knows, maybe a private-public partnership on some of those facilities, because, Gonzalez has done a great job. But the key with that is that if you go to the Gonzalez website and you pull up the roping facility they have, it's an good old cowboy that knows the roping industry. So it's not just a worker that's been assigned. He knows how to talk their lingo, and he knows all the contacts throughout Texas on how to book those events. And so that's important too, when you start looking at stuff like that.
Well, you can source so many things here,
Yeah.
not just ropings, but getting in with the cutting horse associations and your cuttings and your different entities like that, the boys worked a roping this past weekend in Gonzales, in Robstown, and I think they had like 3,000-4,000 ropers in a 2.5, 3 day roping.
And you'd be surprised
That's
how
a lot
people
of
like
money.
board their animals at those kind of places to generate income to pay for those facilities.
You've got people at Rotama that don't want everybody seeing their business. They'll pay a lot of money to board a horse and have a place to go work him somewhere,
Yeah.
just so the neighbors don't see
Yeah,
what's
but
going on.
I just think we can just think outside the box,
Yeah.
work towards a common goal, because like you asked that question earlier, you mean 18 months out? Well, you know, if we don't start now, we're 25 years behind already.
Yeah, and I think Mr. Tyler did bring up a point that land in particular can be used for a public-private partnership.
Yeah.
And things that we want to be able to do. And so just the conversation alone, I'll be able to take something back to city council to say that you are definitely embracing this wonderful resolution. Don't send me more down, but we want to go forward to be able to say that there can be a collaborative effort with the 4A, the 4B, and the city council.
The days of the hard heads and not working and talking, that's behind us.
And I'm happy to hear that, because.
That's gone. There's
my head is-
animosity's out the door.
My head is, I can't have enough aspirin, but I think it's really a challenge, and I think the business side, because there is a business side to parks. There is a business side, I mean, it's an amenity to your community, but of course, as Jay says all the time, you gotta look at the bottom line with it.
Well, if you have a young woman and they're moving here, in your soccer mom, if you will, and they're looking to migrate here and work here, the first thing she's gonna do after looking at the school is get in her car and go look at the park. And if she gets out there, and that's the one that brings the kids to the school, she takes them to the park, picks them up at the park, takes them to Little League practice. If she's not happy, they're not gonna land in Floresville, Texas.
No.
They're gone.
Well, thank you again for your conversation.
They'll be in retail dating.
Put up new cable so people don't drive into the fields.
I just think we
The
just,
fence posts they put in ought to be at least straight. Y'all drive out there and look at that.
It is keep
Well,
putting
people
people.
wouldn't hit them.
It's a challenge, it's a challenge.
An excuse. There's no
Like
excuse
the
for not
bathroom,
building a
where they
straight
stole,
fence.
where the bathroom is, where they stole everything in there.
Well, thank you for your conversation.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, I was at a state farm a couple of Sundays ago, and one of those kids had one of those barrels, the trash barrels, kind of hacked in the middle, and was using it for something, I don't know what. They're just tearing it up, just for no reason.
I would like to say that the school has been very helpful in letting them use their practice fields and back to this on. Big plus.
Yeah, that's a collaborative effort, why wouldn't they?
Exactly.
Let them make county taxes.
More than that. Move on.
Lots
Okay.
of it.
Well, I think we're all on the same page there. Tommy, you kind of got your marching orders and everybody, but I think we're all, and I'm glad to see everybody pulling together with unity and not animosity, so I think job well done there. And now we move on to discussion item 10, which we're gonna have to go into executive session. Is there a motion?
I move to go into executive session to discuss item 10.
Motion made by Jason, seconded by Fred to go into closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The time is